Hello everyone, TheMrTrails here. Let's go ahead and take a look at your cell ideas. There are a lot of comments here. I'm obviously not going to get to all of them, but we'll go over at least the top ones here, and then we will check out some other ones that I think are interesting. Then I'll probably give these an overall 1 to 10 rating on how realistic it is to get in the game and how practical it would actually be. So for our first one here, there wasn't any specific values given for this sort of thing because, there's not any instance of this happening in the game just yet. So as far as what these values should be, you'd have to be like an extra mega math nerd about Dauntless to know what kind of values would be balanced for elemental damage. But this is something that should absolutely be in the game. There is a Monster Hunter equivalent of this already. There's fire attack, water attack, thunder attack, etc. And those actually do end up dealing more damage to the monsters as well, as long as they have some sort of weakness against that element and they're not completely resistant to it. I think to build on top of this, if we were to have a +3 effect and a +6 effect, a +3 effect here could just increase the elemental damage. If we were to do a +6 effect here, we could perhaps have the power bonus gained from opposite element be stronger, or make your whatever weapon you are using stronger against any elemental behemoth. I don't know, there's a bunch of directions that you could take elemental damage type things that haven't really been explored in Dauntless. But overall, this is a 10 out of 10 idea. This is something that should probably already be in the game. Next one here is called Greed, and they did give us some values for this. +3 is 75% gathering speed, and then plus 75% gathering speed and 15% chance to duplicate a drop from breaking behemoth parts, chance halved in escalation. So gathering speed in certain MMOs and stuff is very useful, but in Dauntless it's kind of absolutely useless. 80 to 90% of the materials that you need are flowers, which are instantly picked up when you interact with them. So this would only really work on the stone materials like Phoenix Opal and Omnistone. Instead of gathering speed, you'd need this to be a bonus materials gained from gathering effect, because otherwise it just doesn't make sense for the game of Dauntless. But the plus 15% chance to duplicate a drop from breaking behemoth parts honestly is a good idea to have as a cell in the game. Perhaps even stronger here, 25% absolutely isn't out of the question. I think you already get that from the mastery system. Now, the chance halved in escalations thing, I'm pretty sure they were just going for some type of extra balance here, but honestly, chance doubled in escalations. That would still be fine. Seeing as for regular behemoths anyway, you have basically half the chance to get any of their part drops that you actually break. Seeing as they can turn into charged aether, you should actually have a bonus chance of getting more materials from the escalation, in my opinion. Overall, the ideas are there, less time farming for tonics, and then less time farming behemoths for parts, but the exact execution in this wording isn't exactly applicable to Dauntless for as far as gathering speed goes. Next up, this is actually a pretty interesting and unique twist idea from KV here. Plus 200% core damage when the behemoth is enraging or aether charging. So like they're playing the animation for their enrage or aether charge. That's when you get this type of a damage bonus, and I think that is a pretty good idea for a cell. There are behemoths where if you're skilled enough, they will just sort of sit here and enrage or aether charge, and then you break apart, and then you can make it aether charge and enrage again. I don't know if they would quite go for this 200% number, just because there are behemoths like that you can just completely abuse into enraging and aether charging over and over again. Against those behemoths, 200% would just completely annihilate them. 100% seems a little bit more reasonable, and even then, they probably wouldn't go for that. But I do like the idea of cells that would be incentivizing you to learn these type of skills to continuously break the certain behemoths into the enrage and aether charge animation. Overall concept, pretty good idea. Next up, Total Rampage did have several ideas here that I think are pretty solid, but obviously I can't talk about all of these because this is literally an entire video's worth of cells, I guess. But the last one here, we have all damage types are converted to core damage. I'm guessing we're talking about bonus core damage here. I think this is a solid concept, as they're saying you're sacrificing staggering for kill time, but I think these percentages are way too high for that to be actually viable for them to put in the game. Because when you think about it, if you are converting 100% of all other damage types into core damage, then that's going to be stagger damage, and part damage is going to be converted into extra core damage. So with a blunt weapon against the head, what are you actually like tripling your DPS output multiplicatively with that sort of thing? Or with Pike, I believe Pike does 133% wound damage against parts already, and then if you convert all of that into extra core damage, that would be just a crazy bonus to DPS output if you made 100% of your part damage, wound damage stuff like go into core damage as an extra bonus. I think balance wise, a +6 here probably has to be less than 20% for that to be balanced. Because let's say if you took 20% of your stagger damage and 20% of your part damage and then converted that into extra core damage, that is still going to be multiplying your DPS output by 1.4. I think you can pretty much take that. And that would be as long as you're hitting a damage hit zone for like stagger or wound damage for that to be doing 100% on that specific part. And then like hammers and strikers against a head would be dealing a lot more damage there. So this also would basically kind of incentivize either play Wounding Warpike or you just have to smack the behemoth's head with strikers or hammer. But let's say we did use this 100% value and we put it in a way so that it wasn't completely multiplicative. Then this would still spell kind of a disaster for like squad trials where you could have one person not run this cell and then the rest of the team would be running this cell. And then the one person not running this cell is running a hammer with stagger tonic. You know, maybe even Knockout King would be a desire here just to try to multiply your stagger damage by that much more. And then the other 3 people of the squad could just completely wail on the behemoth and it'd be dead in seconds. Think if that hammer was running like acidic, wound tonic, stagger tonic on the, and then you smack the head and then you get a wound on the head and then you can open up savagery for this cell as well. I like the concept, but at the strength, it's kind of dummy overpowered. If there was some type of conversion rate here where say like 100% of your part damage converted to plus 20% core damage, then that would probably be more reasonable. I do have to talk about both of these from Polema though. Having some type of taunt in the game is definitely something that we should probably have. Behemoth AI isn't always focused on single target, but you know, there are quite a few cases where you would like the behemoth to be targeting you. Like there have been plenty of instances where I've been wanting to be the target of an interrupt attack and it just didn't happen. Not that I would probably even use the cell if it did exist, but you know, it'd be a nice option, I'm saying. And you could say this sort of thing doesn't really fit with Dauntless gameplay, but Monster Hunter does have this as well already, so, you know. But for Dauntless, I'd argue this is even more applicable than in Monster Hunter because of interrupts specifically. But I did also like this idea of carelessness. You lose 20% damage, and then you gain 2% damage every second up to 10 stacks, but dodging clears those damage stacks. So it's basically a constant 20% damage bonus, but if you dodge, then you lose that damage bonus for 20 seconds. This would be a pretty situational effect, and then I think you would probably want to make this stronger, maybe a tiny bit stronger on the damage reduction, but a lot bit stronger on the damage bonus here. Because even if you would say a fight is going superbly well, you will have to dodge at certain points just for repositioning purposes. So I'd say you need a little bit more damage to actually incentivize running this cell. And with how our damage bonus meta is currently, you basically need to be in that 30 to 35% range minimum to have a chance at being used as a damage cell. So with such a drawback, you'd probably want this to be plus 40% damage overall, so you'd have this stack up to 30. And you know, maybe that is honestly even balanced enough. 30 seconds to get back that damage bonus after dodging a single time. But a pretty solid cell idea here. So that'll be it for this one, guys. What did you think of these ideas? Are any of them interesting enough to shake up what you would normally run in the game? I think personally I'd be looking at using elemental damage in, say, solo hunting grounds to get shock procs a little bit easier. But I didn't get to all of the ideas, and we could probably get to another video or two on this topic. But that'll be it for this one, guys. Help me appease the algorithm gods. Drop a like for me, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And I have been Trevor. I go by the Mr. Trails, and I will catch you guys next time.